Hey YouTubers, I'm just hanging out here enjoying my weekend. It's Wednesday for most people, but it is Saturday for me. um, it's kind of like late in the evening, but I just had a thought. I was talking to somebody in the comments section of a George for Title video, and we sort of were discussing how we started prepping and why we started prepping. And I've seen a number of people, or I've encountered a number of people in the comment sections um, who have started prepping due to like a personal tragedy, like, well, a personal setback, like a job loss and their property decreasing in value and stuff like that. But I've also seen people who, or have encountered people who have started prepping uh, because they heard something, or they heard something on the news and they actually never suffered a personal tragedy. And that's the situation I'm in. I actually just, I think I started prepping back in 2006 when I was cruising around Usenet and I happened to see a video called The End of Suburbia. I dropped it down to my downloads. It's not exactly legal, I don't think, but I did eventually buy the DVD. Whenever I watch a movie that if I watch it more than say once, and I enjoy it, I like to encourage good work by actually buying the video or the DVD or supporting some kind of cause or whatever, just to keep things going. Kind of like the same reason I support open source software. Um, if there's some awesome open source software, like my little encryption program on my cell phone that I use to encrypt all my documents and all of my scanned receipts and all that, I send them some money. money, money is a great compliment, and it really makes the people who work on the code and build these programs uh, really makes them feel appreciated. So anyway, but back to what I was saying. I was just wondering how. In fact, I'd like some feedback on this. Um, who has started prepping because of a personal disaster or a personal setback or a personal wake-up call, like dropping property, housing values or something, and who has started due to just some things that they heard. Now me, as I said, I started prepping after watching The End of Suburbia. Um, so that was in 2006, and I hadn't heard about the economic collapse until 2007, mid 2007. I think one of my first wake-up calls was from Vision Victory. He was one of my favorite YouTubers for a long time. And MySpace Secrets, he and Vision Victory were pretty much the two that really gave me a wake-up call and made me start altering my preps from peak oil to the economic collapse, and I am very glad of that. For example, I managed to get my money out of stocks before the stocks dropped, put it into precious metals, and gained quite a bit of money. and and I also, after agonizing over it for a while, I decided to start slamming a lot of extra money into my mortgage, and that finally got paid off at the end of 2010. So so basically, I am real lucky in that my my wages haven't dropped at all. About the only way it's dropped is just a slight decrease in the availability of overtime. And who cares about overtime anyway now because I've got everything paid off. I think it's about, my expenses are about 30% of my take-home pay, and the rest precious metals, prepper items, and things like that. And Like last month, I bought a laptop. I mean, a high-end, nice laptop, and I'll pay that off this month. But anyway, I'm just kind of curious about that. I know it's kind of dark right now, but I might show you a couple things I'm doing. My composting tomato planters are still roaring right along. As you can see, my 8 foot tall my 8 foot tall tomato plant there is looking pretty good. Um, I've got one bed of lettuce behind the tomato plant that is, it's not just lettuce, it's alfalfa and lettuce and a few other things. And I've also got another one started down here. These are going to be my fall garden. The hot summer, man, it was brutal. It was almost like pretty close to 80 a couple times. And up here, that's brutal. I was sweating uh, in those heavy cotton coveralls I work in, doing physical labor, and it was hot. But today it was all cloudy and overcast, and it was like, whew, it's like a relief. And the sun, that eye destroying glare that the bright sun causes, it went away, and man, I could see outside and everything. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Yeah. That is a tomato vine on the right, and after it expanded up above the trellis, it was like hitting the top of the deck, the next floor above me. So I started weaving the vines together so it'll be all self-supporting, and using wire zip ties to sort of secure it so that it sort of braces itself a little bit like a basket. This is a bush style tomato plant, and it practically just stands on its own. Most of it's not even hitting the tomato tower that it's in. So I'm getting a few off of that, a few little ripe tomatoes off of that every day. But this one here is kicking out pretty close to a handful every day. So I've been taking those with me to lunch, and I have some pea plants behind that door on the outside of the building, and sugar snap peas. I chop up a few of those in my salad every day, and it's a welcome addition. As you know, I use compost, just raw kitchen scraps, just throwing them in on top and dumping a little dirt on top, and it breaks down. The smashed up eggshells is a good substitute for dolomite, which prevents blossom end rot on tomato plants. So, so basically, it's not costing me anything. Everything in that planter I would have thrown in the dumpster, but instead I took that and threw it in there, and I'm getting couple of handfuls of tomato plants maybe maybe 4 or 5 handfuls of tomatoes every week, maybe. Not quite one big one every day. So anyway, and all that stuff is free. I bought the tomato trellis and the bucket last year sometime, and they've already paid for themselves. Um, and of course, every day I take my coffee grounds and my extra stuff for my salad, and I throw it in these little things, these little Baskins and Robbins containers, and then then I just keep them in the freezer. And then when they fill up, as you can see, then when they are full, I take them out here and let them thaw out because I don't want to risk freezing my tomato plant. And then, of course, it all sinks down. This one was full. And then I'll just dump it right in one of those planters and cover it with a little dirt. And then I will get more nutrition out of these things. Then, of course, it's the gift that keeps on giving, because at the end of this year, and all the way through the winter, These things will continue composting even after the tomato plants have died because of the cold. And in the spring, I'll be able to empty these planters out into one of these other planters up here, or even buy new planters, and then start the process all over again with a new seedling in the very bottom of the planter, just like I did this spring. And eventually it'll grow up just like that. And maybe, if I'm lucky, these things won't be growing on my back deck here. They'll be growing on my front porch or my back porch of whatever house I decide to buy. My savings are up to about 40,000 or so. So I have enough time to put another few thousand, or another maybe 20,000 or so between now and then. And then I'll have my own place paid off, because I'll sell this condo and then pay off the house. That's the plan. So anyway, but I've already discussed that. So my question to my viewers is, um, did you start prepping because of something that actually happened to you, or something that may have happened to a friend? Or did you prepare because of things you saw on the news? Or is it because of something you encountered on YouTube or some other video sharing site? Or some of my viewers might not even have started prepping. And if that's the case, I'd like to know how many people there are who aren't even prepping, and maybe why you're not, and maybe if you want some advice on how to get started in prepping. Maybe that would be a good video. So I guess I'd better drop this thing into the upload and crash so I can get up early and enjoy my Sunday. I have a little car repair project I want to do. Later.